Are we live?
Yep, we are now. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Weekly Inkblot, episode
Hi.
2, Depression. I'm your host, Emmy,
Hi.
and I've got my panel with me, Ellie
Hello.
and Ash,
Hi.
like we had last week. Um, so last week we just went over kind of an introduction and going through myths of mental health. This week we're actually going to talk about depression, which actually is kind of a widespread problem and is not. It's difficult because there's a lot of different types of depression too. So we'll start with basics and go from there. Um, I'm just gonna start out with the from the dictionary. It's a noun. So depression. 1, a state of feeling sad. 2, a psychoneurotic or psychotic disorder marked especially by sadness, inactivity, difficulty in thinking and concentration, a significant increase or decrease in appetite and time spent sleeping, feelings of dejection and hopelessness, and sometimes suicidal tendencies. So this is what the dictionary tells us depression is.
I agree.
I would say that's pretty much the mark.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not one of the worst dictionary definitions I've heard for mental disorders. It's those are generally a lot of the symptoms. Um, but as I said, there's multiple types. A lot of times, like when we hear depression, for people that are actually like in my for like the IOP and whatnot, the intensive outpatient stuff, we tend to see a lot more of the major depression, which is what a lot of people tend to talk about. And that's where those feelings of hopelessness and not wanting to get out of bed and oversleeping or not sleeping at all and feeling it's so overwhelming
Mm,
Yeah.
that it's almost impossible to work around sometimes.
it is.
And I mean, this is something that I've been noticing more and more in recent years. I mean, as a child, depression was its own thing. If you were diagnosed clinically depressed, that was a separate thing entirely from, say, bipolar disorder or, other types of disorders. Anymore, I think depression tends to get overlooked. It tends to just get lumped in with everything and not treated separately.
Right.
Which is sort of sad in and of itself because depression really does need to be addressed. I mean, there's the obvious. Everybody on the planet has felt depressed at some point or another.
Hmm.
Clinical depression is really the inability to move past that in a timely fashion.
Yeah. Let me say that everyone will eventually feel depressed, whereas but depression in itself is not just oh, my cat died, I'm so depressed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not depression. That's a completely normal reaction to something horrible that happens, and like full on depression is usually a chemical imbalance in the brain. Um, what I know, serotonin is one of them. Is dopamine the other one, or am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
another one.
I think those are the important ones that get out of balance.
Yeah. They have those commercials. Was it Depression Hurts, We Can Help?
Yes, Cymbalta. I take that medication.
Volta, yeah. And that actually is specifically addressing depression, which you don't really hear a whole lot about by itself. So that's sort of what we're trying to go for here is to talk about because it's really the base behind everything.
Mm.
You know, again, everybody has felt depressed or depression at some point in their lives. People who are diagnosed with clinical depression, basically all of your mental illnesses can't, well, not all of them, but a great deal of them can have depression as its core. It's how you cope with depression.
Yeah, I think also a point is that depression can exacerbate or be exacerbated by other co-occurring mental illnesses.
Yes.
Yes, they can. Like, you know, I started out with depression. That was the original problem that was going on, and the abuse exacerbated the depression, and then I also ended up with anxiety problems, and that exacerbates the depression because if I have a panic attack or something, then I get really depressed afterwards, and it's just like, you know, oh my god, I'm crazy.
Yeah.
It's the more chronic thing. Um, it's the thing that makes it hard to get out of bed. It's the thing that makes you all foggy, like, wait, what the hell did you just say? Because all I can think about is how sad I feel. And also, another important point is it's very different from, like, a bad day or a bad week. Because I know a lot of times when I'm like, oh, I'm really depressed, people will be like, oh, like, that's an attitude, like, that's a state of mind. It's like, no, I'm
No, it's
right now.
No,
Like,
and I would respond with, no, it's a chemical imbalance, but thank you for playing.
right, yeah, and it's like it feels like the end of the world. Like sometimes you just like sometimes when I'm like in the midst of a depressive episode, I literally feel like I could probably just will myself to die.
Yeah.
That's not funny, but you know.
You know, and sometimes you don't even know why you're depressed. You just are.
Yeah, just suddenly it's like I feel tired. And
yeah, it can upset and depress you
miserable.
even more because you can't figure it out.
Yeah, and then you know people
And
are
it
just
sets off, you
literally-
know, anxiety and.
You're sitting there like, I feel like crap, but I don't know exactly. And you know, people ask you like, what's wrong? And it's like you can't specify a specific thing that's happened in your day that's made you that way. It's just your basic feelings. It's you woke up like that, and
I mean, you can have the best day ever. Everything can go right. Everything can be, you know, just one right after the other. Everybody's having a good time. You should be having a good time. You're doing your favorite activity. You've had all your favorite food, and you're still not happy. You still cannot get happy about the fact that this day has gone so well.
Or even like you could have a perfectly good day and have as much fun as everyone else, and then just like a certain thought pops into your head, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like,
it's gone.
okay, I want to die. like,
Mhm.
like I don't want to feel like this right now. Can I just sleep forever?
Mhm.
And then you're just like, you just want to talk about it, but at the same time you don't because it's like this. I don't know, like it's this like downward spiral cycle type thing, and it's like just all of a sudden, just it's like all the color has been drained out of your life. It's like suddenly somebody put you in Photoshop and desaturated you.
Yeah, and you don't really want to talk about it, especially if you don't know what's causing it. Because at that point, you know, you're going to get 1,000,001 questions asking you, well, why are you upset? Why are you sad? And you can't answer them.
And they won't, except I don't know.
Yeah.
It just happened. Well, why?
I don't know. You know?
Because it did?
Like because it did. I don't know.
Because
I
it
don't
exists.
know.
Because I was born. You know, it's like there's 1,000,001 reasons it could be, but there's, you know, twice that it couldn't be. So
Right, and
anyone's freaking
I think I
guess.
touched on this last week, but I, recently came up with an example that I think pretty accurately describes how it feels, the whole flu analogy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And again, I think I touched on this last week, but I'll go back over it because it's like, you wake up and you're tired and you're achy and you're angry and like you're just like tired and just I said that already, but
And
you're
you
just
just kind of
out
want
of
to
it.
smack the crap out of anybody who feels good, you know?
Yeah, and it's like, with the flu, you'll wake up and feel that way, and then you'll start like coughing and oozing things, but that doesn't happen. You just
Yeah.
maintain that wonderful like mental effect.
You're waiting for something that's never coming,
Yeah.
which is even
And
worse,
yeah,
is the waiting.
yeah, it feels a lot like that. Like I'm waiting for something. What the hell is it?
Mhm.
Like I know something could come along and make this better, but if I knew what it was, that would probably make it a lot easier.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be like the weirdest, most obscure thing. Like, you've gone for like the better part of a month with a spell of depression, and suddenly you realize, hey, I've got a bottle of pickles in the fridge, and suddenly your world is fine. Like, there is no telling when it's just going to let up. It just does. And again, like I think we touched on this last week, that feeling of release is just, it makes for the best day. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter how crappy the day is. If you had a really shitty day and your depression spell all of a sudden just breaks, it's suddenly a good day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like there could be genocide going on next door, and you're just like, well, I feel alright. Probably not. But,
Yeah.
and also pickles
Somebody could be
depress
beating
me,
you in the
so.
head with a baseball bat and you're just happy you're not depressed anymore,
But I feel good, and my brains are splattering everywhere. Yay!
Horrible mental image, but yeah, I
I
mean,
think
you
it's great.
get the point. There's no real way to just know when it's going to go away.
Right.
And it's not like it's for any specified amount of time. It can be, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 full
And
years in some cases.
the not knowing is the worst part, too. Like, it can just, like, make it worse. It's just
Yeah.
like, when am I gonna feel
Yeah, you
good?
don't know when you're gonna feel better, and then then when you kind of come out of it, it's like, then like yeah, there's that great feeling of yes, it's finally gone, but then in the back of your mind, it's like when will it come back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like you want to believe that it'll never come back, but you are like,
Totally.
well, I need to be prepared.
You know. You know it's coming.
But there's denial, and it's the best part of my life. But yeah, like, it's just, and then like it's depression is like, yeah, it's being the core is a good way to put it, because it's very important to note that like you can be fine, and like all of your symptoms from all your wonderful collection of illnesses can like kind of be well, in remission, which is actually proper terminology, especially if you're talking about
Hmm.
major depressive
Yeah.
disorder. And but it's just like all it takes is just that one little knock into depression, and now your
All of it's back. Yeah.
everything, like your OCD is exacerbated,
Your panic
fear of,
attacks. Yeah.
your panic attacks, your fear of rejection, your flashbacks for PTSD. Like it just, yep,
Yeah.
here they all are again. I hope you
All of
like
your
all of them,
self-esteem
because here they are.
issues, all of it just
Yeah,
comes.
as you roll out of bed and you look in the mirror and it's like, why even bother putting on makeup today? Like, I'm not gonna look good anyway. I feel fat. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you look the same you did yesterday. Like, you really did.
And that's one of the things like you have to do when you're in one of those depressive episodes is to you know yeah, you're gonna think that kind of stuff, but you have to force yourself to kind of get up and get on with the day,
Mm,
Yeah.
even if you feel like there's no point, because then what, you're gonna spend the entire day in bed feeling like crap. And, if you get up and do something and start like, maybe trying a couple of things, it's possible that it'll go away. I'm not saying it always does, because
Yeah.
yeah.
sometimes you go through the day and it's just like every single step is like, ah, why am I doing this?
And
Yeah.
then the next day's even harder to just push yourself.
Hmm.
Like, that's
Yeah.
the worst part, I think, is that just it feeds into itself.
I mean, it helps if there's something you have to do every day. Like for me, I have to go to work. Like I can't
Yep.
call off for depression, they'll fire me. So it sort of gives me an incentive to get
What's the
up out of
point?
bed of, well, if I don't get up out of bed, I will starve to death and I like food. So if I'm going to go on these eating binges, I may as well get up out of bed and go to work.
Right? See, for me, I just starve myself, so not even on purpose. I'm just like, well, I don't feel like eating. What's the point? I'm just gonna have to eat again later, and then tomorrow, and just might as well stop.
Yeah, I grief
I know
eat.
it makes all of the normal um things that you're supposed to do in life, like eating 3 meals a day, it really makes it seem like an extra chore, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Do
shit,
people
I
eat
have to
three
go
meals a
and
day?
pee. Why?
Why?
Why
I'm
do
just
I
gonna
have
have to go
to?
again later.
Yeah, I'll just lay here, whatever. Maybe the feeling will go away.
If I
In the
stop
back of your head, you're
eating,
going, no, you can't do that. You
what the
have
hell
to
do
get up
you
out of
know?
bed. You know why you have to get up out of bed. You know why. And the back of your head is screaming this at you, and you're just kind of arguing with yourself, going, shut up.
And
You
see,
don't
we're
What do you
know.
know?
we're laughing about it, but I think it's one of
Oh,
those things where because you kind of have to laugh, or else,
You're going to cry.
yeah, because it's just like shit. That really is my life.
yeah. I mean, you know, we could talk about it and not laugh, and then just later on we're just like, well, back.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it really does help if you've been diagnosed as clinically depressed, be that, anywhere from mild to severe, it doesn't matter. Um, Especially when you know you have spells like that, make sure that there is something that you actually have to force yourself to get up to do every day. Be that, you have to wake up at a certain time every day and set the alarm clock in another room. Whatever it is that helps you get up and starts you to move a little bit. You
It
know,
helps a lot if you have
you have
somebody to push
pets.
your ass out of bed.
Yeah, if you have pets, it's simple stuff like feeding them. You have to get up and feed the cats. It's not their fault you're depressed.
Yes.
Right.
They have to eat. But I mean, that's at least an activity to get yourself moving.
Yeah, it's rough because it's like everything feels so incredibly pointless, and like you can't even like concentrate either. Like it's like I'm gonna get out of bed, I'm gonna go to work.